Kentucky is a land of shadowed forests, endless caves, and towns where whispers never seem to fade. Beneath its rolling hills and southern charm lies a darker story, one of restless spirits, hidden tragedies, and places where the veil between worlds feels dangerously thin. Tonight, we descend into Kentucky's most haunted corners, from mansions dripping with sorrow to caves that echo with voices not your own. As you listen, imagine yourself standing there in the silence. Would you hear the same whispers the locals swear they do? 1. Bobby Mackey's Music World, Wilder, Kentucky. To end this journey, we arrive at what many call the most haunted nightclub in America, Bobby Mackey's Music World. On the outside, it looks like nothing more than a roadside honky-tonk. But step inside, and you're entering a place soaked in legends of murder, satanic rituals, and restless spirits that refuse to let go. Before it became a nightclub, the building was a slaughterhouse in the 19th century. Blood drained into a deep pit in the basement, a pit that locals believe became a well of darkness, used later for occult practices. Over time, stories of possessions, violent attacks, and unexplainable phenomena have piled up like layers of dust. One of the most infamous tales is that of Pearl Bryan, a young woman brutally murdered nearby in 1896. Her killers were said to be connected to the slaughterhouse, and some believe her spirit still wanders the club. Guests report the smell of roses, Pearl's favorite perfume, drifting through the air, followed by overwhelming sorrow. Others tell of demonic growls echoing in the basement, shadow figures moving along the stage, and scratches appearing on the skin of those who taunt the spirits. Even Bobby Mackey himself has admitted the building carries a dark energy, though he remains skeptical of the stories. Still, his employees whisper of violent encounters, locked doors shaking violently, jukeboxes turning on by themselves, and invisible hands pushing them down the stairs. For those who've stood in the basement, near the infamous portal to hell, the feeling is unforgettable, like something ancient and angry is staring straight through you. Bobby Mackey's may be a place of music and dancing, but beneath the neon lights, the darkness is always waiting. 2. The Witch Tree, Louisville, Kentucky. In a quiet corner of Louisville's Cave Hill Cemetery stands a gnarled, twisted tree unlike any other. Its bark is blackened, its limbs clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. Locals call it the Witch Tree, and for more than a century, it has been tied to dark rituals, curses, and unexplainable misfortune. The legend goes back to 1889, when a mighty oak once stood in this very spot. On May Day, townsfolk would gather here for festivals and dances. But whispers began that the tree was being used for darker purposes. A storm that year toppled the oak to the ground, and when the lightning cleared, people swore they saw cloaked figures disappearing into the woods. Within days, a strange new tree began to grow from the stump, twisted, malformed, and unlike any other species. That tree is the one you see today. Visitors claim the witch tree radiates a sinister energy. Birds avoid it. The air grows unnaturally still around it, and those who linger too long say they hear whispers rising from the roots. Some believe offerings left at its base can grant wishes, but at a terrible price. Others tell of hands reaching out from the bark itself, grasping at those foolish enough to touch it. Even the cemetery staff tread carefully near the tree. On certain nights, candles appear at its base, flickering in the dark with no one nearby. No matter how often they are cleared away, they always return, and if you stand too close, you may feel that something is standing behind you, waiting for you to turn. 3. Sleepy Hollow Road, Prospect, Kentucky. By day, Sleepy Hollow Road looks like any other rural stretch of Kentucky blacktop, winding between farms and shadowed woods. But when night falls, it transforms into one of the state's most infamous haunts. Locals whisper about phantom cars that appear out of nowhere, chasing drivers until they vanish in the blink of an eye. Others swear the road itself bends and twists in impossible ways, trapping travelers in a looping nightmare. The most chilling legend, however, is of the Crybaby Bridge that spans a quiet creek along the road. If you stop your car and turn off the engine, the sound of a baby crying drifts through the darkness. Some say it's the spirit of a child abandoned there long ago, while others claim it's bait, a lure meant to draw the living closer to whatever lurks beneath the bridge. Many who dare to explore report their cars stalling without reason, headlights flickering, or cold hands brushing across their skin as they wait in the silence. Strange lights appear in the woods, glowing faintly before vanishing deeper into the trees. One witness described seeing a cloaked figure standing in the middle of the road, its face hidden, but when he blinked, it was gone, leaving only the echo of laughter. Sleepy Hollow Road isn't just a stretch of asphalt. It's a test of courage, a gauntlet where the living share the night with things that shouldn't exist. Would you dare drive it alone, with nothing but the dark pressing in on all sides? 4. The Old Talbot Tavern Jail, Bardstown, Kentucky. Not far from the haunted Talbot Tavern lies another structure with a history steeped in fear, the Old Nelson County Jail. Built in 1819, it held prisoners for nearly 200 years, making it one of the longest operating jails in the United States. Its thick stone walls once echoed with the cries of men awaiting punishment, some of whom never left alive. Visitors today describe an oppressive weight as soon as they step inside. The air smells of damp stone and rusting iron, and the cells feel colder than the rest of the building, as though the walls themselves still remember suffering. Guides tell of shadowy figures drifting past barred doors, and of muffled voices whispering when no one else is speaking. The most infamous spirit said to dwell here is that of a female prisoner accused of witchcraft in the 19th century. Locals claim her laughter can still be heard echoing through the halls, sharp, mocking, and chilling to the bone. Others have reported the phantom rattling of chains, footsteps pacing above them when the floors are empty, and sudden gusts of air that extinguish candles in an instant. Even from outside, people say they've seen pale faces watching them from the cell windows, though the building now stands dark. Bardstown wears its history proudly, but the old jail remains a place where the sins of the past have left chains no lock can break. 5. The Gates of Hell, Grandview Cemetery, Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Some places earn their names for a reason, and the Gates of Hell is one of them. Hidden within Grandview Cemetery, this crumbling old mausoleum has terrified generations of locals. They say if you step inside after dark, you won't come back the same. The legend goes that the mausoleum houses more than the dead. It is a doorway to something darker. Teenagers who dared to sneak in tell of overwhelming dread, of hearing guttural growls echoing from the walls. Some claim to see red eyes glaring at them from the shadows, vanishing only when they flee. Others speak of phantom hands grabbing at their clothes, pulling them back toward the crypt. During the day, the mausoleum looks like nothing more than a ruin, its stonework crumbling and vines crawling over the entrance. But at night, the air grows colder, and the silence sharpens until it feels alive. People say the ground around the structure trembles softly, as if something is stirring below. Local law enforcement has had to chase curious explorers from the site, warning them of trespassing dangers, but ask anyone who's been close, and they'll tell you the warnings aren't just about the law. The gates of hell still stand open, waiting for those foolish enough to step through. It's the Talbot Tavern, Bardstown, Kentucky. Bardstown is often called the most haunted town in Kentucky, and at its center stands the Talbot Tavern, a stone inn dating back to 1779. Its walls have hosted pioneers, politicians, and outlaws, even Jesse James himself. But the tavern's long history of fire, violence, and tragedy has left behind more than just stories. Guests speak of phantom footsteps echoing across wooden floors, doors rattling violently in the night, and the heavy scent of smoke lingering when no fire burns. The most infamous spirit said to wander the tavern is Jesse James. In one upstairs room, a painting hangs with bullet holes. Legend says James himself shot it during a drunken rage, and visitors swear his ghost still stalks the hallways, laughing in the shadows. But Jesse isn't alone. A spectral woman in white has been seen drifting through the upstairs room, her face pale and mournful. Some believe she was a servant who died in a fire. Others say she was a guest who never checked out. Cold breezes move through locked rooms, and in the tavern's basement, shadowy figures dart just outside the reach of lantern light. Even the staff admit that when the inn grows quiet, the past stirs to life. Bardstown may thrive on bourbon and charm, but the Talbot Tavern reminds visitors that its history is carved in more than stone, it's etched in ghosts. 7. Perryville Battlefield, Perryville, Kentucky. On October 8, 1862, the quiet fields of Perryville became a slaughterhouse. Over 7,000 men were killed or wounded in a single day as Union and Confederate soldiers clashed in one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. The land was soaked with blood, and that stain has never fully washed away. Today, the battlefield looks peaceful: wide open hills, rustling grass, the hum of insects. But when night falls, Perryville awakens. Locals speak of ghostly soldiers wandering the fields, muskets in hand, their faces pale and empty. Gunshots crack in the distance where no one is firing. The smell of gunpowder drifts through the air, sharp and bitter, as if the battle is still raging. Hikers have reported the eerie sound of drums beating in the darkness, followed by the echo of men shouting orders. Others have seen figures in Confederate gray or Union blue who vanish when approached. In one farmhouse, once used as a field hospital, people hear the screams of the dying and the frantic steps of nurses rushing through rooms that now stand silent. Some visitors say the ground itself feels restless, like standing on a heartbeat. They claim the dead are still marching here, locked forever in their final day of battle. And if you walk the fields alone after midnight, you may find you are not the only one retracing those bloody steps. 8. Mammoth Cave, Edmonson County, Kentucky. Step into the world's longest cave system, and you'll understand why Mammoth Cave has always been a place of fear as well as wonder. Its tunnels stretch for over 400 miles, but it isn't just the darkness that makes explorers uneasy. Legends say these caverns are filled with more than silence, they are filled with the dead. During the early 1800s, part of the cave was used as a tuberculosis hospital. Patients were brought into the depths, their frail bodies laid in huts carved into stone. They were promised clean air, a chance at healing, but most never left. Their voices are said to linger in the damp corridors, a soft chorus of coughing and cries that seem to echo just behind you. Park rangers and visitors alike have reported strange encounters. Phantom footsteps pacing through Echo River, disembodied voices calling names in the pitch black, lantern lights bobbing deep in the tunnels, only to vanish when chased. Some explorers speak of a shadow man, a towering figure seen standing at the edge of torchlight, unmoving until it simply disappears. And then there is the chilling sense of being followed. In Mammoth Cave, silence is never still. The air feels thick, the walls seem to breathe, and every drip of water sounds like a heartbeat. People say if you linger too long, the cave remembers you. It whispers to you, and sometimes it doesn't let you out. 9. The Seelbach Hotel, Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville's Grand Seelbach Hotel is a place of elegance, marble floors, stained glass, and chandeliers. But beneath its beauty lingers a tragedy that has never left. They call her the Lady in Blue, and her story is woven into the very walls. In the 1930s, a young woman named Patricia Wilson came here searching for her estranged husband. Instead, she discovered betrayal, heartbroken and alone. She was found dead at the bottom of the hotel's grand staircase, wearing a flowing blue dress. Whether it was suicide or something dark, no one knows, but she has never stopped haunting the Seelbach. Guests report sudden cold spots, the scent of perfume lingering in empty hallways, and the sight of a woman in blue drifting silently through the ballroom. She is often seen standing at the top of the staircase, gazing downward as if reliving her final moments. Staff whisper that elevators move between floors without being called, stopping at the same places where Patricia once walked. One bartender recalls a chilling night when he felt a tap on his shoulder only to turn and see nothing. Just the faintest swirl of blue dissolving into the air. The Seelbach remains a symbol of grandeur, but ask anyone who has felt that sudden shiver on its marble steps, and they'll tell you beauty cannot cover sorrow. And the Lady in Blue is always watching. 10. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Louisville, Kentucky. They call it the Mount Everest of haunted locations. And stepping onto the grounds of Waverly Hills feels like walking into the epicenter of every ghost story you've ever feared. The massive Gothic building rises out of the trees like a skeletal giant, its windows dark hollows staring back at you. Originally built in 1910 as a hospital for tuberculosis patients, it quickly earned a grim reputation. During the height of the epidemic, entire families were wiped out, and Waverly became a city of the dying. The hallways still echo with the sorrow of over 60,000 deaths. Shadows crawl along the walls, voices whisper in empty rooms, and the air carries the sterile sting of medicine mixed with something more rotten, more ancient. Visitors speak of doors slamming on their own, of sudden chills like icy hands pressing against their skin. But it's the 5th floor that terrifies even the bravest explorers. This was the psychiatric ward, where patients driven mad by illness and isolation were kept away from others. The infamous Room 502 is said to hold the spirit of a nurse who took her own life there. People claim to see her hanging form swaying gently, even when the room is empty. Others feel her despair pressing down on their chest, suffocating them with invisible weight. And then there's the tunnel, The body chute, a long concrete passageway where corpses were wheeled out of sight to keep morale high. Even now, footsteps echo there when no one is walking, and some swear the darkness itself seems alive, creeping closer the longer you stay. Would you dare walk the length of it alone? Kentucky's haunted history lingers like fog on its rolling hills, a reminder that the past never truly stays buried. From the endless dark of Mammoth Cave to the chilling music of Mackey's, these places prove that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. Perhaps the real question is not whether you believe in ghosts, but whether they believe in you. If you felt a shiver listening tonight, imagine what it would be like to stand in these places yourself alone after midnight, when the silence feels alive. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this chilling journey, don't forget to like, comment with your favorite haunted location, and subscribe for more weekly videos from the shadows.